Welcome everybody to the launch of PhotoIreland Festival 2021. Um, I wanted to just say a few words. Today we are launching our 12th edition. It's the 12th edition of Ireland's International Festival of Photography and Image Culture. We are very proud that we have survived these 12 years and that we are working away on future editions. We consistently present contemporary, challenging and relevant practices. And we do so throughout the festival and throughout our year programs. We hope you enjoy the program that we are launching today. We just want to say thanks to a number of organizations that have supported this year's edition. Those are the Arts Council of Ireland, Dublin City Council, Arts Office, OPW, Frame Finland, Mondriaan Funds, the Alliance Française Dublin, Project Art Center, AEMI, GUP, Overjournal, Aesthetica, and RTE Supporting the Arts. We are very thankful to them all for their support. And though this is quite welcome, it's I mean, it is obvious that we have quite a small budget for an international festival, and so I also want to acknowledge the amount of work that goes to make it happen within, after all, a modest budget. So it's an evidence of our collaborative work and our and the way we produce the festival is by working with a lot of people, which reminds me something that my colleague Moritz Niemüller told me in 2010 when we opened the first festival. It was always thank the volunteers. This year 2021, there is no volunteers, but actually I will take the opportunity to thank all the volunteers from all the previous years who have made the festival be really what the festival is today. It's thanks to their work that we also have a photo book collection in Dublin. And it's also thanks to them that we have the library project as an art bookshop in Dublin and many other projects that we have run. So to all the volunteers that have supported us over the years, thank you very much. I let you now with Julia Jeletsova, who is the general manager of PhotoIreland and who has also curated this year's program. Julia.
Thank you. Thank you, yes, to my colleagues as well and to everyone we're working with this year and all the artists. For PhotoIreland Festival this year, we produced a hybrid program. It's real life events and online, real life exhibitions and online events. And this year we're focusing on the topic of food and consumption politics. We're taking cue from current conflicts and affairs in order to generate a discussion around various complex social and global issues, such as hospitality, colonization, hunger, overconsumption, even surveillance capitalism. The program is intended, as always, a way to invoke specific questions and ideas and research. We're bringing forth questions and considerations this year towards a conscious and informed consumption, such as through exhibitions like Monsanto by Matthew Asselin on the destruction of ecology, public health, misinformation. We're exploring this topic of contentious topic of food around with 7 artists in the group exhibition Bite the Hand That Feeds You, which is in Rathfarnham Castle from next week. The artists there are Alan Phelan, who's created a new suite of his acclaimed Jolly Screen photographs to recount recent memories of imperial and colonial working conditions through the stories of global fruit production controversies. We look at complexities of animal and human relationships with Hans Vandermeer, Daniel Salai, Shengwen Lo, and Hertta Kiiski. And we talk about control of bodies through the work of Ksenia Yurkova and Jeviana. We're continuing these conversations through the Artist Talk series, where we can investigate how photography and the arts can be interpreted into other disciplines and into our social lives, and how contemporary artistic practices can activate conversations around these topics. All the Artist Talks take place online, and you can book them at the festival website. And speaking of the online program, this year we decided to produce our own cooking channel of sorts, one that doesn't suggest authority or instruction, but rather inspires ideas, whether they're philosophical or historical considerations, and giving us food for thought. Critical Recipes presents a program of performances taking the model of a cooking show, sometimes directly and sometimes not so directly, as an inspiration and a departure point to put forward these discussions. The channel actually opens tomorrow morning with a newly commissioned video by artist Jenny Moran, who reflects on hospitality and hosting in collaboration with performance artist Evine O'D. The other artists in the cooking, in the Critical Recipes are Ana Nunez Rodriguez, April Gerther, Deirdre O'Mahony, Fiona Hallinan, and the Center for Genomic Gastronomy. So all the performances will go live on a weekly basis on our website, and they'll be available then for a limited time. And 2 of the performances are live and interactive and participatory. These are from the Center of Genomic Gastronomy and Ana Nunez Rodriguez. We also have a screening program with AEMI, To Be Consumed in Totality, and it's on already, and you can see it, and you can join the conversation on the 14th of July. And last but very much not least is Milky Way, which is a double commission where we invited Finnish artist Hertta Kiiski, who's with us today, to present a new body of work responding to the themes of food and consumption. It's currently in Project Art Center, and it looks really great. It looks really amazing. And it's there only for this weekend before it migrates to Rathfarnham Castle in a very different environment and a different installation. So you have to catch it in Project while you can. And in response to Milky Way, we invited Dublin-based artist Roisin White. We commissioned her to create an exhibition guide. Well, we commissioned her to create a response, and she in turn has created an exhibition guide, which is aimed at younger visitors to investigate and navigate this work. And the guide, it kind of encourages, it guides them through to take a closer look, to consider the materials, the themes, the questions that the work puts forward, and then to create their own artistic response. And so, without further ado, I would like us to say hello to Hertta Kiiski, who's here from Finland. And to start, I would like to kind of take us on a journey of Milky Way. And I would like to talk about how you developed the idea of Milky Way, and whether it was something that was on your mind already, or was it something that was triggered through your research or through our conversations?
Well, hello, and thank you for inviting me. And this has been a really super nice process, but also quite peculiar, because all the time I have had a hope in my heart that I could come to Dublin, and I work really site specifically, so this has been really strange for me to work this way, but I think everything has turned out really nice and it's been interesting. And when I was invited to this festival and heard that the theme is food, I quite immediately wanted to target something that has connection with animal rights, because that's something that I have been working with many years, maybe 5 or 6 years already. I have included animal rights issues into my works. And when I got a closer look at the Irish food industries, I was really struck by the amount of dairy cows in Ireland. And when I read about the fact how many unwanted male calves there are every year, like something like 800,000, and that so many of them, hundreds of thousands of them, are that they are shipped away when they are super young, like 14 days. They are put into trucks and ships, and then they have to travel away. And I think thought that it's even the fact that the little calf is going to be separated from its mother is heartbreaking, but then this, that it has to make the travel in strange environment, was something that I really wanted to focus on. And because I really often work with my daughters, or with my younger daughter Irma and her cousin, my niece Ellie. So I also thought it's something that it is really, there is this mother-child connection that and everything, and it's also this subject was also something that the girls thought that it's really interesting to work with. So that's why I chose that. But it was really challenging to try to find also ways how to talk about it without being like too harsh, or that it wouldn't be too violent for younger audiences. Also because I very often, or almost always, want that my work is suitable like for all audiences. It can be different things that different people get, but that it would give something to everybody without compromising anything. So yeah, so I thought it's interesting and challenging thing to start to work with that. So that's why I started it. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, we also you mentioned your daughter and your niece, and the reason we also approached you for this because we felt that you speak to younger audiences almost naturally through your work, and that's something that we also wanted to bring into this commission, this consideration. I don't think you make your work for younger audiences, as you say, but it's like your frequent collaborators are already young audiences.
Yes.
So it's almost like you always have it in mind. And how do you feel young people relate to your work in comparison to perhaps other grown-up people?
Well, it's hard, of course, to say, but I think that the fact that I work with young people, I have worked with the girls like many years since they have been 6 years old, and now they are turning 15. So we have worked the first videos we made together when they were 6 years old, but of course I have been photographing them for forever. But so they always been there, and they are really often present in my work. So it's kind of hard to maybe for me to see the difference, but I think there is something that for younger people or for children, when they see another children there in the artwork, it's something that they might find interesting or fascinating, and they maybe can relate to it, and it maybe interests them a little bit more than without. If there would be an adult, it would be just, oh, this is some adult thing. But when there is a child or a young person there, it's something, oh, this speaks to me, or it's about me maybe. And also I think it's maybe due to the aesthetics are also quite important part, because my works are really visual and quite like haptic. I use different kind of materials, lots of colors, maybe smells or sounds or different things. Always the photography is there, and it's really important for me, and I consider myself to be a photographer, but still I want to kind of bring it more live than a picture on a frame. So I think that's also something that appeals to younger audiences.
Yeah. And also you said that you worked with them since they were 6, and I suppose it's not that you're not documenting them. It's not you're not documenting your family, but they're kind of playing characters. Is that right? Or
yeah, that's right. When I started, I have like never documented them as such. But I think first when I started to photograph them, maybe 10 years ago, it was more like in art context to photograph them. So it was more. They were kind of like models. They were not representing themselves. They were representing like girlhood or childhood or life or whatever. And I made a book with Kerer Verlag 2016 from the first 7-year period of photographs I have made for them. But after that, it kind of shifted towards the video making more. I, of course, photograph still, but I think that the girls enjoy more the video making because they have more power. They can choose in which how they represent themselves and how they are in the picture, because the picture is moving. Because when I photograph, I choose the one little piece of time that it's going to be shown, but video makes them more free and more, they can be more they are more like subjects and not objects.
Yeah.
But now I forgot what you asked.
Oh no, I think no, I think I just asked you about yeah, because I thought it was interesting how they're not, even though you're documenting, that they're not.
Yes, yeah, and
a documentary about your family per se, but
yeah.
Also the originally when we were discussing this idea, you, Irma, and Ellie were supposed to come to Dublin to perform as part of the installation. And of course, this year, the more we talked about it and the more we worked on it, the less likely it seemed to be that way. So eventually we had to kind of call the shot, and the traveling wasn't possible. And I feel specifically in the project Art Space Center, I feel like there is this atmosphere of anticipation, or an atmosphere as if something has just happened or it will happen at any moment. It's the performance space itself contributes to it, but also the way you organize the structures and the fabrics. The dresses are there that you can see the girls were wearing in their video. The blankets are crumpled as if somebody just used them and put them back. And when we first spoke, and when you first started thinking about the work, it was presumed that you would be here with the girls to perform live. And then the concept, of course, started to change and shift and adapt. So can you talk more about that kind of stage of the process when you had to start considering the work being presented without its protagonists and the creator present?
Yes, it was kind of this, I would say, well, something that I kind of like started with, and I again ended up with, because I have been making this kind of installations for a long time, that where we have been in maybe in the exhibition space, but also with the other stuff that is going to be exhibited there with the girls, and made these videos. And it's all often, like many times, I have had in my installations videos of the girls in the space where we are going to be. And I think that's something that really brings this kind of like sense of presence and sense of time to the exhibition space, to the exhibition, to the artwork. And when the viewer comes, he or she can kind of like, I hope that they would somehow like feel that somebody has been here. And now this time, because girls haven't been performing live that many times, so this time would have been kind of different. And we were all really excited that, oh, it's going to be so exciting. And they were really like, oh, we are going to travel abroad and we are going to perform. And I made, and then I thought mostly that the performance would be kind of the essence, and the installation would be kind of the setup for it. But now when it turned out that we cannot come, then I started to, I didn't want to go back to the normal, which would be that we would just have the video there and like I have been doing, but I wanted to more emphasize the feeling of kind of this absence also, that there would be at the same time, there would be this presence, but there would be also be absence. And this space where the Milky Way is now presented, it's a performance space, kind of like a theater place space a little bit. So it was super interesting to work there, because it's, when you bring work there, it's immediately a little bit like a stage, because there are these really beautiful lighting systems and really nice sound system. And there is this feeling of that there's going to be a performance. But I wanted that when the viewer comes in, that they would feel a little bit like they would be also the performer, so they would be like kind of like part of the work. So, and especially because now this is also meant for also like really small children or for young people as well. So I wanted that people could touch the materials and touch the structures, and the video of the girls is quite low, and there's sounds are really kind of materialistic somehow, and also the light situation is changing, so there would be quite many things to experience there, but still the viewer would be kind of there in the center and have the kind of stage for themselves. So that was like a new thing for me in my practice, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to be maybe affecting what I'm going to do next, because it was so inspiring.
That's really lovely to hear. That's good. And to go back to more so the themes in the work that you mentioned earlier, because I'm kind of, I suppose, guilty of it myself, because I keep saying, oh, this is really a magical work, and it's really wonderful, and I you know, you kind of have these optimistic terms to describe it, but actually the themes in the work are quite dark, and it's almost like bittersweet work, because you tackle very serious issues of ethics, of coexistence, the environment, our future. And some of the stories you tell, not just in Milky Way, but including Milky Way, are very tragic. Like for instance, in Milky Way, the structures that are holding the fabrics, they're, if I'm not mistaken, they're actually made to represent the real size of the cages that the calves are kept in before their death, that you mentioned, in these mass industrialized dairy farms. So there's this quite subtle and abstract way that you present the distressing situations. So how do you think we can learn about various issues and kind of be motivated to perhaps change or be informed through playfulness, and art as well?
Yes, that's something that I have been thinking a lot during recent years, like how to, because I think like activism would be like the most straightforward and most powerful way to change things. But since I'm an artist, I have been thinking like in what ways I could still kind of make even a little change, or how could I talk about these things, and how could I kind of bring them to people's attention. And I think that art can maybe working like it's not so straightforward, so it's maybe easier for people to, I have tried lots of different strategies how to do it, because I think that you cannot shout to people that, oh, you have to think like this, or you cannot preach, or it cannot be like political in that way that it would kind of like turn people away. So I have chosen this way that I'm working with kind of like visual materials that kind of lure people, like a honey lures bears, that they would come closer and look like, what's this, looks nice, and then it might be about apocalypse or eco crisis, or about this like horrible livestock thing. So so I think that maybe through intuition and through subconsciousness, it's maybe a little, as an artist, it's maybe even could be easier to try to influence people than being like preaching something, but I can just a little bit try to put these ideas in their heads, and like I like to operate on like on the level of feelings and on the level of empathy, and try to kind of erase that, awaken people's feelings and empathy, because I've tried these different strategies, and I have found that like using stories or narratives or then like feelings works best, at least in my opinion. So playfulness is also been really important, like always, to my work. I feel that as an artist, it's a wonderful privilege that you can kind of play for your living, kind of. And also I think that's something that it's kind of easier to talk about, also difficult matters when it's kind of through playfulness. And of course, because I've been working with children and my daughters, then it's the play is always there, because for them it's not work, it's play. And so then it's kind of like also play for me.
Yeah. I just want to mention as well, I should have mentioned at the beginning, but there is a Q&A box. If anybody wanted to ask anything, you're welcome to do so. And I suppose you kind of led into my next question nicely about playfulness, because having said all that, your work is also very magical and it is hopeful as well. Like there's a lot of kind of optimism in your work, I suppose. And so my question is if the importance of optimism and hopefulness, not just in your practice, but in your life as well. And also about the girls again, how they approach these serious issues. Is this something that they talk about normally with you, or is it something that you talk to them through this play and creation?
Well, first of all, like when the children were younger, I kind of told them that, oh, now I'm dealing with this issue in this exhibition or these works, and what do you think about this? And then we would discuss, and then it would be more like I'm telling them, but now it's like I feel that they know more than me, and they are really woke and know about all things, so they are kind of educating me nowadays, I think. So it's really more equal collaboration, and it's becoming like more and more equal, and I think they are gonna drop me at some point and start doing their own things without me. But about the hopefulness, I think that's really, sometimes I feel like there is no hope, that it's kind of like illusion that we kind of think that, oh, everything will get better. But then, and I have had exhibitions that themed dealing with apocalypse and these kind of things earlier, but now I feel that yeah, especially for the young people, it's so, because they know so much and they worry so much, it's still really important to have hope, but not hope that's just like that forgetting all the serious issues and all the problems, not that kind of hope, that we would kind of like not think about that. We'll have a hope in the future that things can change if we change them. And I also think that we still have hope, and I feel that the young people are, at least many of them, are really that they can do the change, and they want to make the change, and they want to make decisions that in their lifestyles, for example, that middle-aged people don't want to do. So I still have hope, and I also wanted, when people come to see my exhibitions, that they would not leave like hopeless, or they would leave like feeling that they would have different kind of inputs, but some of them should also, I hope they would be also hopeful and loving and caring type of things, but also maybe something that, for example, in this one, that this Milky Way, that's because I don't think these things are being discussed so much with children, at least in Finland. It's kind of like, well, we have all these nice children books where cows are free somewhere in the forest, and children are not shown what's the real situation, that where actually the meat comes from, and actually that they are eating meat. It's also really kind of abstract, like where the food is coming from. So I think it's also important for them to know, so they can make the change then.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree. I think it is important to know, to kind of make an informed decision, and whatever decision you end up making, at least you know what it is that you're doing and deciding. I would like to, well, I would like to say thank you, and I would like to maybe leave it there, if unless you wanted to add something, or if Angel wants to add something. I think just one thing I want to say is to remind everyone that the Milky Way runs at Project Art Centre in Dublin until 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. And then it will join the rest of the group show, but in Rathfarnham Castle, but it will be a different experience. So catch it while you can. Yeah, thank you. Angel, would you like to add some words before we go?
I just wanna perhaps just to say once again, thank you to all the partners and sponsors that made the festival possible. Thanks to all the volunteers that did not help this year, but helped all the 12 previous years or 11 previous years. Thank to all the artists that have contributed to this year's festival. There's loads. And also, one important thing perhaps to, if you join me for a second, I'll share with you my screen just to mention one important place where I think we can all go to know what's happening in the festival, which is the website, the 2021.photoireland.org website, where there's a super useful tool that we have been adding every year since God knows when, that is called What's On Today. So when you are walking on the street and you feel like going to the festival today, okay, what's on today? The website will tell you exactly what's on today. The 2nd of July, well, it is the launch that you are experiencing right now, but there was also an exhibition in the darkroom. Oh, okay, so you can find out that there is the open program is there, and there's lots of great exhibitions as part of the open program, and also as part of the feature exhibitions. And there are some other events that are running, like Milky Way in Project Art Center, and Monsanto at the Library Project, the Reading Room at the Library Project, and many others. So I hope that you can actually take the time this month to enjoy some of the events, both from the main festival program, but also the feature exhibitions that we highlight every year, and the open program, which is always the most effervescent part of the festival. So we, with that, we conclude. We hope to see you around, and thank you for joining today.